Hi everyone, I'm Jackie and this is Jason.
I thought I had to introduce myself.
No, you couldn't even
No,
handle
you're-
that last
yeah,
week.
That's true, I couldn't.
And this is our Christmas tree.
It's not really our Christmas tree, it's the
I know.
Packers' Christmas tree.
But
we're
Jason
borrowing
broke it. He broke it and I had to fix it.
It's not broken.
Broke the star
Yeah,
off.
no. It was shoddy workmanship. All right.
But I fixed it, don't worry.
You're the best, Jackie.
I know. All right. Let's begin. So in one of your articles, you said Joe Philbin was concerned about the run game, but Mike McCarthy didn't seem overly concerned and he focused more on the passing. With the potential of cold weather affecting the passing game and virtually no run game with the Packers, do you think they should be worried?
Well, I think that we're not quite certain what they're capable of doing in cold weather. Now, Mike McCarthy today talked about the idea that really there's no weather conditions where he doesn't feel like they can throw the football. And I think he's proven that with his approach throughout his time here. I mean, unless it's, 50-mile-an-hour winds, I think they're going to throw the football. And, there's been 9 games in Aaron Rodgers' career in which the weather has been 40 degrees or colder at kickoff, and in 7 of those 9, he's thrown 30 or more passes. So I don't think the weather is going to stop them from throwing the football. I do think to have success in December, I think it's true you have to be able to run the ball, especially in cold weather climates, and the Packers play 4 of their last 5 in cold weather, 3 here, 1 in New England, and then the Dome game in Detroit. So we're going to find out whether they can run the football in December, but I do think it's important, and I think if I'm going to side with somebody on that discussion, I think I am going to side with Joe Philbin. I think that I'm more concerned maybe, but perhaps Mike McCarthy will prove us both wrong.
Maybe. Who knows? And with the Big Five formation, you don't see it a lot. However, we saw it quite a bit Sunday and even a little bit against Minnesota. Do you think we can expect to see more of it? Now, Mike McCarthy said, they're not going to be running it 20 times a game, but
they ran a 14 last week, and that was a lot. I think that was more based on the matchup. But, we've seen Andrew Quarless develop, so I think they really, what they liked last year and why they didn't use the Big Five as much last year is because of Finley. They had basically the Big Four plus Finley, and Finley's a gigantic wide receiver really anyway. So I think they feel good enough about Quarless that they can go 4 wide receivers and a tight end. I think the real point is when they want to spread it out, and they feel good about their line being able to block and the idea that they can get the job done with only 5 protectors and that they can spread the field. But, the other thing it tells you is that they feel much better about Brett Swain and how far he's come as a receiver. So I think we're going to see the Big Five on a fairly regular basis, 5, 6, 7, 8 snaps a game the rest of the year, regardless of the weather.
all right. Aaron Rodgers didn't have quite the start he hoped for in the beginning, but, he's become more consistent. He's playing a lot better, and he had that incredible game this weekend minus that fumble. What turned the season around for him?
I don't know if anything's necessarily turned it around. I think he, played at such a high level last year that the expectation was that he wouldn't have any off games, and I think everyone's entitled to be, have an off game once in a while. Now, the thing that Aaron did on Sunday against the Falcons was fumble the ball in a key scoring situation. Now, the argument can be made that they should have already scored on that drive because on the second down keeper that he called, he should have gotten in if Darren College had made his block. But I think generally speaking, he's still been a very consistent, productive passer. We talked to him a little bit on Wednesday about the idea of his 2-12 record in close games, and this is a team that is looking to go from good to great. And the quarterback has to be part of that, and I don't think that record accurately depicts what kind of quarterback he is, but that record is what that record is, and they need to win more close games, and in order to be a great team, he needs to be great, and I think he's been great on occasion, but I would like to see him be great more frequently.
Clay Matthews is the only starting linebacker from week 1 left, but there hasn't been a drop-off at that position. Who do you think gets the credit for that success? Is it the players? Is it the backups? The coaches?
That's a little bit of a misleading thing because obviously A.J. Hawk didn't play a lot in that first game because they were in nickel and he wasn't playing in nickel, but the point is that they've now lost Brandon Schiller. They've lost Nick Barnett earlier in the season. They lost Brad Jones. They've lost Brady Papinga. So there's been a lot of injuries at that position. I think that you always have to give credit to coaches who find a way to put together a unit when there's been injuries there. And this team has led the league now in injuries in games lost to injury for starters. They've got the most players on injured reserve in the league. And I think it's easy to lose sight of that fact that they've been doing this. I think on the offensive side of the ball, last week it was really obvious. I mean, I think they win in Atlanta handily if they have Ryan Grant, who is a very good runner and would have been more productive, and their running game would have been better. And if they had Jermichael Finley, who's a matchup problem. But they don't spend, to Mike McCarthy's credit, he does not bellyache about injuries. He just sort of moves on. And I think that's what they've done on the defensive side of the ball as well.
And final predictions for the Packers-49ers matchup on Sunday.
Well, I picked the Packers to go 4-1 the rest of the way. I picked them to finish 11-5 this year, so they're on track to do that. As I look at the 49ers, I know they won a big game against Derek Anderson, who pours his heart and soul into everything he does, including his laughing on the sideline. And I think that may have saved Mike Singletary's job. I don't think the Packers will get a third coach fired this season, but I don't see really any way that San Francisco comes in here and wins. I think the Packers are going to lose one game out of the final 5. I think it's probably going to be in New England. I would be surprised if they lost at home, but I guess that's why they play the games, Jack.
All right, and we have a final bonus
Our
Twitter question.
Twitter bonus question is a very
Yes.
Jackie taking the initiative, getting people involved. I like it.
All right, and for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, what we're talking about is I sent out a tweet yesterday saying people can email me a question, and I'll pick one and ask Jason it.
And this was not the marriage proposal you got
No.
by asking for that? Okay.
But I am flattered, thank you. Anyways, so this question.
I don't get those on my Twitter, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, ask your question.
Anyways, so this question is from Bama Cheesehead. He wants to know.
I love him.
All right, cool. He wants to know if Slocum is to blame for the special team woes and if he's on the hot seat.
Well, I know he's on the hot seat with fans, and I know fans are very critical, and I know that the public reaction a lot of times when things don't go well is what? Fire the coach. Oh, it happens in baseball too when a team's not hitting or a team's not pitching well. Suddenly it's let's fire the hitting instructor or let's fire the pitching coach. I understand people's frustration with special teams. I have a hard time saying that this is all Sean Slocum's fault. Now, we just talked about not making injuries as an excuse, but they lost Brandon Chiller and Spencer Havener during that game on Sunday. Both those guys were on the bench in street clothes on the final kickoff coverage, and it got out against them. Now, is that a reason why? Should they have covered the kick better regardless of where those two guys were? Yes. But Mike McCarthy made the reference today that they've had 12. They'll be playing their 12th game, and in all 12 games they've had a different group of 11 for their punt coverage group. So, I'm not really big on saying people should be on the hot seat or should be fired. I would say that this is certainly been an issue, but I thought the special teams was playing pretty well up until Sunday's loss at Atlanta. They had gone 4 games without a penalty. They really had not caused, excuse me, I get all choked up when I'm talking about the special teams. They had really not caused the Packers a lot of angst, and I understand the question, but I'm not ready to put Sean Slocum on the hot seat.
Okay, great. Thank you, and we will see you next week.